Good evening, Paul and Andy. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming out tonight. Yeah, how are you all? I'm having a bit of a day, so I'm a little down. So anyway, anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. We'll jump into what's in the jam, and don't have a lot to talk about tonight, but I did come up with a couple of things. So we will get into it here. I want to do that thing, and while that's getting ready, come over here. First up in the jam, Pigments, with the pad you're hearing now. Not doing a whole lot with it, just having it hang out there. If I've got it, I don't have any XY on anything on this, but this is running into the Arturia FX motions very subtly tonight. You hear just that little rhythmic piece pulsing a little bit. Thanks, Paul. Just been kind of a rough, it's been a rough few days. So anyway, that is feeding, like I said, Pigments through FX motions and then into the Phonolith Cascade reverb. And then I've got the whole thing running through my my fancy mono bass contraption. That you can't see because it's hidden behind everything else. Let's get all this stuff out of the way. Built this in the grid. And basically all it is it's a, oh, thank you, Andy. The music always helps, you know. So this is a thing I made in grid. I wanted a fairly adjustable bass mono kind of setup. So basically everything up above about 140 hertz is full wide stereo. And anything below 140 hertz rolls to the center. If you've got headphones on or good speaker system, you should be able to hear that in this patch. And so next up, we have, let me get back over to where I want to be. Really? Okay, go away. There we go. Next up in the pad, this is a Native Instruments Scene Willow patch. It's kind of similar to one, it's based on one we did, I've used before. It does some weird things. If I lean into the aftertouch, in some of the keys, interesting thing about it is, if I'm playing one key, one note, that pitch bend works on the aftertouch. If I'm playing more than one note, it operates differently. And I've got XY, I think I got XY tied to the pad there, you can see. I'm touching the new XY, which is off to the left. You can't see it here. I haven't installed yet. We'll talk about that in a minute. So anyway, that's all that's in the second track. Third track is coming from Ultra. And it's a sequence. And Stepic is driving the sequence. So I really only have to hold one note. I don't know about the music in Savage, Paul. I know about other stuff in Savage, but not the music. So anyway, up next, I've got another sequence. This is coming off the Polybrute. So really just have a no transpose in case I needed it, and which I've got tuned down an octave. The device to drive the Polybrute, and then I've got a the tool, which is kind of like Ableton Live's utility. They got an LFO slightly modifying the volume, so as the sequence plays, it comes in and out a little bit. And let me start the sequence here in a minute. What the heck was that? Start the sequence. Here we go. So it's just this repeating. This is an odd patch, actually. If I, let me stop the sequence here. If I just play it from the keyboard, it's an interesting pad. If I play it gently. But if I hit it with the, you get some velocity going on the keys. Shortens up the attack. I'm not surprised they lost their branch of Ram's Head. There was some shenanigans going on down there of the fairly unsavory variety. And that's all I really know for sure. So anyway, next up in the jam, a lead from the Take 5. Hey, Jeff. And Andy, I wasn't necessarily trying to emulate any other patch. I'd for that Polybrute patch. Just, you know, I make up sounds that I like, you know. I'm still angry at Arturia about some things with the Polybrute. But I'm not angry at all with Sequential about anything with the Take 5. Take 5 is a great sounding Great sounding synth. Up next, excuse me. Up next in the jam, I've got the modular. And during the jam, I was messing with the resonance a bit on the 2600. Let me get a shot over there real quick. I'll take you guys for a little bit of a ride. So let's see if I do that and then do, oh, let's see that. And hang on, guys, here we go. So I'm using the take, or the 2600 is doing, let's see, let's get this going in the right direction. Just this part of it. And I was messing with the filter resonance to kind of bring that little cry thing coming back in and out. Let's see, the filter, that filter sweep is coming off of the function output of the function junction down in the Eurorack section. So that was doing that part, and then the main sound is coming off the Eurorack itself with just a touch of assistance from the 2600. That was loud. Hello. And so that's the 110, the Behringer 110 module, going through both the Farb filter, wave folder, and the Wasp filter, and the two of them are getting combined before they go back up to the 2600's mixer. The other thing I'm doing up there is I'm using the third oscillator of the 2600 as another LFO. So I've got one LFO modulating some stuff in the Farb filter, and then the other LFO, the LFO in the function junction is, well, not currently doing anything with the 110. At one point I had it modulating pulse width, but we're using a saw out of the 110 at this point. The other thing that it's doing, so that's its, let's see, this guy is going out and modulating the filter on the Wasp. So when you put the two of them together, you get this. And then next up in the jam, and almost last, I've got Vital, just laying down the bass. And let's see, that Vital bass is a pretty simple patch. It's kind of a partially faded classic fade and a sine mixed together, running through slowly modulating comb and 12 dB filters. And so the effects on that, I put effects on a bass, you know, because you're not supposed to do that. That's why I do it. So I've got it running into the Arturia Delay Tape 201. And then to get just a little bit of reverb, I get enhanced reverb on this. I'm hitting just, I'm running it through the Eventide Temperance Light with the A and the D. We're in D minor tonight. And so the A and the D are accentuated here. So I think I'll tell you about, Andy, about the TE-05 and the Take-5. That's pretty interesting. They're both essentially, I won't say essentially, they're both largely the same synth. The difference being the way that the filter, mostly the difference being the way the filter is set up. And there's the oscillator mixing is a little different too, but the filters, the way the filters are set up is the big difference between the TE-05 and the Take-5. But they're both otherwise built on exactly the same platform, using the same chips and everything, just as they would have been back in the day. So I mean, it is definitely a what's the word? Faithful Oberheim sound. But you know, they've used the same basic filter chips, just wired them differently to make those sounds. So hey, Sean, good to see you. So the TE-05 is really nice, and I don't know though if they had. I bought the Take-5 early before the TE-05 was ever even announced, and you know, me being a sequential, you know, kind of fanboy, I'm not sure if I'd have bought the TE-05 or not. I mean, they're both great synths. Don't get me wrong, but I'm, you know, I'm a sequential guy. What can I say? Let's see. Okay. So anyway, that was the jam. The one last thing in the jam, I have modified slightly the drum thing from basically the same thing as last time, but modified slightly. It's again the Myth Rhythm instrument from Ocean Swift, running in Contact 8. That is running through the MS-20 filter from Arturia. It's then running through the haze portion of Beam, and that runs through ROM for reverb. So just kind of buried that percussion off in the depths somewhere, and once everything else is going, you barely even notice it's there. So that then is what's in the jam. And boom, boom, boom. There we go. Just get a little bit of that going in the background. Turn it down just a little bit. Not that. Turn that back up. That's me. All right. So let's see. Where are we at? Okay. Not a whole lot going on. I mean, I've had a lot of stuff going on outside of music this week that's been a little stressful. So I haven't had, again, the second week in a row I've been, you know, all tied up and haven't had much time for music, which has been frustrating to say the least. And because I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to do, you know. And that is, of course, when you get to be the busiest. Oh, forgot to say, as usual, all of the stuff from the modular was running through the TC Electronic Plethora X3, just a reverb and a delay. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the back to work thing, but I got other stuff going on, family stuff going on. It's being a little, you know, not being fun. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Couple things, just real quick. I had planned, since I'm going to have, look at me, I'm all fuzzy. I had planned after tonight that tomorrow I would get into actually mounting the XY pad on the Control S where it's going to go. And then realized this afternoon that there's some parts that I still need. I never got around to ordering. I need to order a 9-volt power jack so that I can power the electronics for the XY pad. And I needed a couple other little parts. So I finally ordered those. I realized this afternoon that I need those, so I ordered them this afternoon, and they'll be here in a few days. You know, so I've, like I said, been kind of putting off mounting the XY pad, and that also translates to haven't gotten up the nerve yet to, you know, cut into the panel of this thing. I got to cut a hole here for this to mount in. So the XY pad that I got, Andy, is from Amptone Lab. So it's really, I showed this last week, and unfortunately I don't have a picture to show easily of it, but it's designed actually for use in an electric guitar. And what it does is it basically just makes MIDI for X, Y, and touched. It'll also do program change and a couple other things, but I'm not going to use those. I don't think. Maybe I will. I don't know. I might be able to use that for something, repurpose that for something. So anyway, it's this guy here. It's, you know, what, about 3.5, 2.5 or 3 by 3.5 or 4, and it's a neat pad. Let's see. Let's do this. Let me go back to that, which will take itself a moment to set up. Well, we're going to talk more like something that sounds like somebody's master thesis. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, so we've got the shot up. So let me show. Show Andy what's going on here. Let me find a track where this is set up. Well, Willow. Okay. So I mentioned with Willow that I've got XY control, and I showed you it moving around. So basically, that is tied to this pad. And, you know, as I move, let's stop that. It changes whatever parameters are tied to the XY. So in this case, if you notice on the controls, I've got the mask, tape, intensity, and cosmic controls are all tied to the XY pad. So there's a little bit of weirdness with it, though. If there's a touch portion of it, so it won't start sending MIDI until it feels that it's touched. And the problem is it's a little hair trigger. By default, the programming is set for either on or off. But if, let's see, where can I show this? Let's do this. Let's set up that Pigments patch, or I'm sorry, the Vital patch, so that it's going to respond to XY. You can see they're already wired there. I just don't have them mapped anywhere. So let's see. Let's grab filter 2 cutoff, and we'll put that on X. And then we'll put filter 2 resonance on Y. I think I got that right. Let's see. So if I X and Y catch up to it, yeah. Oh, ended up getting both filters. That's okay. So I'm pushing on here, which of course now you can't see because of the camera shot. Let me do this again. Let me switch the camera around just a little bit. That's 2 cam. Oh, apparently I didn't get the buttons. 2 cam. There we go. That got it. Nope. Come on. My stupid remote controller doesn't want to work. 2, cam. There we go. Okay. So it's a little hard to see what's going on here, but well, that's unique. Oh, great. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. All right, we'll just use that for now. It's not right, but we'll use it. Okay, so you can see I've done a beautiful job of mounting the plate to a 2x4, but it's fine for testing. So anyway, if I give a good solid touch on the pad, it does the thing just fine. As I start to release, though, it starts to trip over that point of where is, between on and off, essentially. You see it starts to get a little flaky. So I got to make sure when I'm using it, I've got good pressure. That's no problem. But what's the problem is, if I let off slowly, oftentimes the position will jump. So I have to make sure that I let off, properly, and it's fine. So it's a playability thing. I haven't had a chance, but I want to write the folks at Amptone and say, is there a way that we can get the firmware modified so that we can either use this pressure, because this pad will send. I looked up the part. This pad will actually send pressure data, so I could do X, Y, Z if I can get them to give me pressure data. But other than 0 or 127. So anyway, that's the purpose of this whole thing, to be able to do interesting filtering stuff or whatever I want to control with X, Y. And one of the things that I had been struggling with getting this kind of thing to work properly in Ableton Live, and in fact it won't. Yeah, Studley. And one of the things that I can do, I don't have it set up in this patch, but one of the things that I can do that even if I could get the routing of the MIDI to work the way I wanted it in Ableton Live from track to track, I can't choose to control only certain things within a track. And one of the really nice things about working with this in Bitwig is, actually, let me move, well, do this and do this. And so if I'm using this, doing this in Bitwig, I actually have control. I can actually select which device in the signal chain I'm controlling from the controls here or from the XY pad, which I can never do. I mean, you just can't do in Ableton Live. And so that really was the deciding factor for me to switch to Bitwig. A few weeks back, once I figured out that I could actually get that to work the way I want it to work easily. So I'm still working on, and I'm going to solicit Paul's help because he's a math dude. I'm still having a hard time getting a certain XY function to work I don't have it in the show. I was going to put it in the show tonight, but didn't get to it. In Omnisphere 3, they have a pad kind of thing that they call the orb. And unlike most other XY pads in software, instead of using X and Y, they use polar coordinates instead. So I'm having to come up with a way to convert from Cartesian to polar, and it's not really true. It's not really the Cartesian isn't really Cartesian like you'd expect, because 0, 0 is not in the center, 0, 0 is down in the lower left. So you got to scale that up, and then the polar coordinates, the coordinates that spectrosonic use in Omnisphere are kind of tilted over in an odd way. So there's a whole lot of math stuff that's got to go on. And I'm halfway there. It's like, I had it halfway working, but not quite. So it's just a matter of having somebody else's eyes on the mathematics. And I think it's going to fly beautifully, and it'll just be a special little widget that I do in the grid in Bitwig that sticks between the modulator and the input, which is really simple to do. So that should be interesting once I get that done, or Paul and I get that done, because like I said, I get the math, but so far, and then math was not my thing. So anyway, that's that with XY. Moving right along. Let's see. I wanted to talk about some things that have me, other things that have me annoyed. I'm just a bundle of annoyance tonight. Seriously though, let's see if this is going to work correctly. As most of you may know, Native Instruments is going through an insolvency proceeding, which may or may not be a bad thing. But one thing that I'm seeing is that, well, let's look at what Nick Williams, who's the CEO of Native Instruments, had to say a couple of days ago about this in a post on the Native Instruments blog. I'm going to have to drop that out of the way. So Nick says that at the end of January, he said they're working diligently to secure a healthy, financially stable future for Native Instruments. And that's what they're still doing. Now, at that point, they had entered what was called preliminary insolvency. So in the last week, they moved to the next step in the insolvency process in Germany. And yeah, that's exactly right, Andy. So anyway, they're into the next stage of the process. And one of the things about the process of insolvency in Germany is that they are assigned an expert to guide them through the process and develop the plan with them to preferably to save the company. The fact that they have moved into the next phase, which is finding new shareholders, those specifically with, and they have strong interest from parties with roots in audio and technology. So this is a path that has been developed by Native Instruments and the government to save the company. This is the same kind of thing that Modal Electronics went through a couple of years ago. So they are moved on to the next step, which is what's called, and these are normal and expected legal steps in the German insolvency process, which includes transitioning from preliminary insolvency to formal insolvency, and then where applicable. And again, as he says, these are expected steps in the process. So this is the normal procedure for doing what it is they're trying to do. There's nothing, this is not to say they're going by. And So as far as buying something new from Modal, I don't like the new synth they came out with. I'm not a big fan of the Carbon 8, but I was this close 2 weeks ago to buying a Cobalt, the Cobalt 8, in place of my Cobalt 5. I would buy one from them. I don't have a problem with that, because they went through the process and came out the other side. Now, Modal is not German, but the process, their insolvency process, is very, very similar. Mixmaster, hey, good to see you. So my hope is that and the other thing to say is that through this process, they have already ruled out investors that don't meet the criteria. So they've already had offers at Native Instruments that the appointed expert and the folks at Native Instruments have declined because it doesn't fit the model. It does not fit the trajectory that the German government is wanting Native Instruments to follow. So the way German law, German insolvency governs how individuals and companies handle their debt. It requires debtors to file for bankruptcy upon becoming insolvent, either for illiquidity or over-indebtedness. It focuses on creditor repayment through standard procedures or restructuring or insolvency plans overseen by a court-appointed administrator. So that's where they are now. They're looking to find new investors. So there's a whole thing about it. It's again, this is a standard proceeding which focuses on, there's several different types of proceedings. One is a standard proceeding, which basically is what we would call a Chapter 7 here in the United States, where the company is liquidated and whatever is received from the liquidation goes to pay off creditors. This is not the path Native Instruments is taking. There's another path called self-administration, which is allowed if the company can be restructured. And then there's another more specific, what's called a protective shield proceeding, it's a subset of the self-administration, and this offers protection while they're restructuring and seeking new investors, and that's where Native Instruments are now. So they're following their insolvency plan as laid out by their administrator, and so they're moving forward in a oh, hi Donna. In a positive manner. So they've come out with a couple of new pieces of software I've bought. I'm going to continue to support them. What bothers me, or what's got me in my knickers in a twist about this today specifically, is that I'm seeing certain other YouTubers are sounding the total death knell for Native Instruments, saying they're done, get your stuff and run away. So Paul, there was an interesting thing. If you look into some of the Native Instruments support forums, not their forums, but some of the forums around the internet, that has been a proposal, was to try and get a significant group of users, supporters, whatever, to invest and buy the company. That's not an approved plan by the administrator. It would be interesting, to do. I don't know how well it would go, but that would be an interesting course of action. But it's not one of the approved plans by the administrator. Let's see what else. What's going on in chat here? Because I know some stuff was going by. Yeah, Creative did really mess up Emu, and that whole thing, took InSonic along with it. You know, just that was one cascading disaster after another there. Back to Native Instruments. One of the things that I found interesting in digging through this is there are at least 2 non-operating business units that are part of the Native Instruments umbrella. So they're non-operating, but they do require a resource. I don't know what those were set up to do. I just know that they exist. So the I don't know. Stuff is coming up it's coming up fast and furious, Donna. So yeah, I'm going back through chat. I don't know that Behringer would be a good fit to buy out Native Instruments. They're not a software company. They are, they're a hardware company. I mean, certainly Native Instruments could lend a hand as far as manufacturing for Native Instruments. The controllers or their DJ controllers, the Machina, and the Control S, Control A line, and their new audio interfaces. I mean, certainly Behringer could help out in that regard. There are probably other companies that would be better to pick up the software, but I would not like to see them separated too much. And another option for if they were to split hardware and software, another good option for the hardware manufacturer would be Novation. The nice thing is that Novation, Arturia are both signed on for NKS, so they understand the technology involved in the controller side of things and how it talks to the software. So yeah, definitely hope Creative Labs doesn't buy them. Yes, that's right. Rolly was also able to bounce back. So there's a good track record of these things happening and the companies being able to come through intact or largely intact. Let's see. Well, so and looking at you talk about the EMU stuff like the Halo, also the Proteus. Some of the InSonic technology warped into the Proteus key line of synthesizers. It was actually a whole lot of InSonic living under the PK6 that I had for a while. So I think that the future for Native Instruments is going to be okay. It's going to be different, but I think it's going to be okay. And like I said, what has really got my knickers in a twist this week about it is, as I said, certain fairly prominent YouTubers are going out saying that, fire and brimstone and Native Instruments is dead, and they're far from dead at this point. So anyway, that's my rant on that for the evening. Let's talk about fun stuff. So a couple weeks ago, somebody came up with the idea that I should put a whammy bar on my keyboard. And I kind of chuckled and promptly went out and started looking to see what was available. Because, modulation, So I found 2 things, both of which are interesting. First up is this thing from FOMO FX called Virtual Jeff. And it's a 2-piece gizmo, but in my mind, it's fairly limited. You've got a really nice attachment that connects to the guitar, doesn't require any modification to a guitar, and it controls the box, and the box is a glorified pitch shifter. It's got some other effects in it, but yeah, absolutely. So this is cool. It's got a fancy pitch shifter box and this beautifully constructed thing that you can modify, you put on your guitar, modify your guitar in literally a minute. I mean, you stick this thing on there and run the cable out, and that's great and very nice. And it's like $500 or $600, so it's not cheap, and it doesn't do. It does not do what I would want it to do. So my interest in it is, yeah, I've seen it online. I've seen video of it online. It works. It works great for guitar, and they show running a synth through it. But for me, I want these kind of things to control MIDI. To be a MIDI controller and or CV controller for the Euro rack, for the modular. So that's what I'd be looking for, and I found it. This gizmo. This is from a company, from an outfit called Sci-Fi Research. It's called Whammy, and I believe I have links below to it. It's just going into production. It's in pre-order or reservation status now. But this, they don't show the whole thing here. There's a little circuit, a little circuit board that goes along with this. This gives 0 to 5 volts, and that's kind of what I'm looking for, because I can turn that into MIDI very easily. Yeah, there is a video that shows it attached to shows the virtual Jeff connected to a Arturia Astrolab, and I mean it works and it sounds fine. It doesn't, for $500. It doesn't do enough for me. The well, if I'm going to do that, Paul, if I want each key to be able to be bent and controlled separately, then I'm going to have to go to MPE, and that's either, my personal preferences are the Osmos as my first preference and the Seaboard Rise as the second. I find both of those to be very, very playable. The Whammy bar is just kind of interesting. It's kind of a neat idea. And so this one here uses a Hall effect sensor to control, to very, very precisely control the voltage, or the board that puts out the voltage control. And that they were having some problems with the center dead zone. They've got that solved. So this thing with its companion little circuit board is going to be $200. And it's kind of the thing is, for less money, it does exactly what I'm looking for, or what I would be looking for, as opposed to paying $500. It doesn't do what I look for, and I have to modify it. So that's kind of a no-brainer direction there. Take the one that does what I want for less money, I think. Ill-tempered clavier, great out. Yeah, you think? That would be a great album title. Probably something Wendy Carlos should have done. Let's see. I want to go back and roll through, make sure I haven't missed anything in chat. Because I don't like missing folks. But Whammy clavinet, yes, I've seen that. The Whammy clavinet's pretty cool. Oh, sorry, I missed you leaving, Andy. Have a good night. Yeah, it's like, so, and yeah, so many companies going back through chat and saying that Waldorf survived, and yes, Creative Labs does still exist. Akai is still cruising along. Akai just came out with new versions of the MPC. Came out with a monster version of the MPC, and it's yeah, I saw one in person. It's like, it's almost, it's I gotta say, the width of it is almost the Take 5 or the TE-05, not quite, but almost that wide. Let's see. Yeah, pretty much as wide as the Take 5 and deeper. And it's got this huge screen on it. If you're into MPC, it is just an amazing workstation. I don't do the MPC thing, but you know, it's just this astounding looking workstation, and you know, looks beautifully made. And oh, did he? I might have to tune in to see that. How are they getting on well with it? I guess so. I mean, they were into the MPC thing anyway, so. Like I said, it's impressive. So Akai is cruising along. I don't know about anybody else that InMusic has gotten a hold of. But yeah, not my thing. Let's see, anything. I'm just looking to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Yeah, Rolly was able to bounce back. Waldorf got through it at least once. So yeah, I'm only but so worried. Oh, as an NI buyer. Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. Asaf, good to see you. I mean, I think there's too close a competition with Akai and Native Instruments between the MPC and Machina. So there'd be too much. I think there'd be competition within themselves, and I don't know that either one would. I don't know that either one would benefit from it. And I think that might actually be detrimental. But what do I know? Except what I've dug around and found online so far. I don't know that InMusic has kind of a spotty track record with taking things over. They didn't do much good for Alesis. I don't think anyway. Although, that said, the Alesis electronic drum kits have actually gotten a lot better, I'm told, since InMusic took over. And they were smart enough not to drop the SR-18 from the line, or the SR-16. I got both of them. Those two drum machines have been in the line forever. I don't know what that has meant for the Alesis partnership with Medeli, though, because Medeli was involved with Alesis for some of the last of the Alesis keyboard instruments were actually Medeli's. Yeah, so Machina would go away, and maybe it'd be all right. I kind of twitch when InMusic is brought up, I guess, because I've not been super thrilled with some of their other takeovers. It just doesn't. Some of the stuff they do doesn't sit right with me, because they are more than others. They're they're one of those equity companies more than anything else, and when they lose interest, they'll move on to something else. And if they're going to get mixed up with those capital firms, I would honestly rather see them get mixed up with one of the ones that they turned down. And so, and I don't know. I mean, I think if Machina went away, that would seriously hurt NI. I believe. Obviously, you know, I won't say the only place, but the most likely place for folks who, if NI does go away and Machina does go away, the most logical place for most of those folks to move in the future would be to Akai, because the MPC is the closest thing out there to Machina that I know of, anyway. So I mean, that might be a direction. I get concerned about Akai and software, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think in one way or another, NI is going to come through this. I don't think Native Instruments is going away. The bigger, there is a concern if they do go away in, you know, folks' investment in software and how that gets handled. I mean, you can get the downloaders for everything if you dig around their website enough. And I have several of them because I had to use them to, when I first switched over to the Mac. Hey Tony, good to see you. Yeah, they have. I'm not saying that I got nothing against Akai. It's you know, those who own them that I have more issues with. I have more issues with InMusic. I was going down a path. Daggone it. Lost my train of thought. Oh well. Probably wasn't important. It's not rocket science at this point. Oh, I was talking about for, you know, if you've got NI stuff now. Number one, the hardware is not going to stop working. My Control S is not going to stop working. Although, you know, I might consider picking up a second one, just in case. The bigger concern is software if you have to do a reinstall. And I was saying that you can get the downloaders, but you still need there still needs to be something to handle the license authentication. Yeah, I agree. I agree on all points, Tony. Yeah, it'll get picked up, and you know, I said this last week or the week before, the last time I was talking about this. My opinion would be to split back up what got melded together over the last year or so. You know, roll Plugin Alliance or whatever it is and Brainworks back out of the equation and let them do their thing. And same with Isotope. You know, they were okay on their own. You know, and then let Native Instruments do what Native Instruments does and always has done. And I think that would be the best outcome. One thing I'll also say is that they are continuing to forge ahead with partnerships with other software houses, to get NKS into everything. They're still working with other developers of Contact and other instruments. Brian Clevenger is back in the fold again, and they've just rolled out a new effects plugin, and they're doing some bundling with either Absinthe or I can't remember the name of the other synth that Brian came out with. So that's being sold through NI, and so it's, you know, there's positive stuff still going on within Native Instruments. So I don't think it's a lost cause. So anyway, those were the things I had on my list. Don't know if there's other stuff folks want to chat about, but I know Jeff's not streaming tonight. I would agree, Tony. That would be, but I don't see that. I don't know what the agreements are between folks like Novation and Arturia and others that have gone in with NI to pick up NKS. I don't know what those agreements look like. It doesn't, not that it really matters. But yeah, making that, if NI goes away or starts to go away, then open up NKS. And yes, it will become a standard because there's not much, at least in the MIDI/MIDI 2 realm, there's really not much better. I think NKS is much better than what goes on in Arturia's world. Arturia's world is completely closed. Well, and as a standard, VST3 is here to stay, but that's a Steinberg thing, Steinberg is doing their own iteration on VST3 through Halion, and they've got their own protocol for that. So, that's a whole, VST3 is another whole thing. If there's going to be an open standard for plugins, it's going to be clap. But not everyone supports clap, there's some interesting things about clap to me, and a lot of it seems to be in certain instances, in certain environments, to me, there's a whole lot of unfinished business about it. Like if I open up a clap plugin in Reaper, for instance, there's a whole, the user interface opens up here, and then there's this whole big open window, blank window with a bright white background hanging out with this thing just kind of floating up in the corner of it. And it's like, okay, it should not be that hard to resize that window to match the user interface or the UI to match the window. It's like, because other plugins do it. Now, if you use clap in other environments, and like if you use clap in Bitwig, it looks great, works perfectly, looks beautiful, but not necessarily everywhere else. And it's like, so it gets down to how the DAW is handling the I guess how the DAW is handling it and how it talks to the DAW. I don't know, but the clap stuff looks fine in Bitwig. Just it looks like ugly in Reaper. Although, and I'm gonna, there's somebody out there lurking that's going to be a Reaper user, and they're gonna jump all over me. But quite frankly, I think a lot of Reaper just looks unfinished. It works, it does the thing, but there's a whole lot of funky stuff going on behind in that DAW. And then of course the other thing is, I don't know how much we really care about them, because I don't think they're as much of a force as they used to be. But getting this stuff into the Pro Tools world is its own ball of wax with the AAX plugins. Yeah, that's all I need is, at this point, all I need for it to work is Bitwig, but, there's other folks out there that use other things, Oops, that was too loud. So anyway, so Mixmaster says they ain't going away. I like that. I like that attitude. I like I like that. I think NI is going to stay, and like the Europeans and the Germans in particular do not like failure. So they will work as hard as they can to ensure that there is some sort of success, and I feel positive about that. So anyway, it is almost 20 after. I think that's going to do it for me for tonight. I appreciate everyone coming, and I appreciate the great conversation tonight. It's been good to see you all this evening, or at least see it. You're typing on the keyboards. So again, that's going to do it for me. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you. Oh, Steinberg ain't going. No, Steinberg's not going away. But well, so but Steinberg is not owned by Steinberg anymore. So you know they went through it too. So you know there's nothing nothing to say. NI's not going anywhere. So all right, guys, y'all have a good one. I will see you next time. Should be back in a week unless something blows up. Good night, all.